Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fast Charging with B&B. I'm Brian.
I'm Bear.
Yeah, he's Bear, he's always Bear. This is the best EV podcast on the internet because it's simulcast on Bear's Workshop and My Tesla Live, the second channel of My Tesla Weekend. Yeah, let's just get into it because Bear, I don't know if you know this, we've got too many stories this week.
We do have too many. You had diarrhea of the stories
I
this
did.
week. You came out with quite a few stories, and then I threw in my two and said, I'm so glad Brian does all the work.
Yeah,
You sent that at 5 a.m.
I did. And then I went to bed.
I was up and I saw them, and you sent me your list at 5 a.m. and I knew you were going to bed, and I was just waking up.
Yeah.
You are like my Dracula.
Yeah, I am. That's the skin tone. Yeah, that's because I had to finish my cathode tracker video, get it all uploaded and whatnot. Ford EV sales increased 77% in June. Over 1,800 Lightnings have been sold in that month, apparently.
Well,
or total.
it's very easy to beat your sales from the previous month when you just started selling them, but that is still good that they're actually producing them and they're getting them out. The back order on those are still, if you buy one, you could get one as soon as 2026, or is it 27?
Is it really that far out?
Yeah, I think it is. They've got the ability to ramp up production as time goes on and shorten that up. So we'll see what happens. I would love to be on that waiting list, but it's been closed for quite a while.
Yeah.
So it's I haven't heard like much in the way of complaints on the Lightning. People seem to like it. I think it's going to be a decent truck for them, and I think something like the F-150 is really going to help to convert people who in the past have said I'll never buy an EV, and then an F-150, okay, I'll give that a shot. So I wish them the best on that.
I do
think
too.
that they're going to do good.
And 1,800 for the month, that's 60 a day. I mean, it's something, but considering they usually sell 1 million a year of their ICE version.
I think their production rate on the ICE version is something like 65 per hour.
That
They do
sounds... Yeah.
65 jobs per hour. So it was explained to me once when they have to retool and it takes a couple of weeks. You have to think 65 times an average selling price of like, let's say $50,000 with the work trucks and the high end. Let's say it's $50,000. So times 65 times 50,000 every minute when they have to retool the line.
Pure insanity.
Yes. And that's how they can make such a profit, is just by pooping them out.
Yeah.
Like they do.
Yeah. Kia EV sales, EV6 sales exceeded 2,500 in June. They're almost at, 90 a day.
Yeah, they're doing better than the F-150s, but they have also been making them a little bit longer also. I don't remember when they started making them, but I know I test drove one back in March, I think. It was February or March I test drove one. And they were getting, each dealership was getting in a couple every week, 3 or 4. So, nice car, by the way. I do like them.
I like the look of it, too.
Yeah. And the one I drove was pretty fast. I got into a GT all-wheel drive, and it put my head back in the seat.
If you go down the page a bit, you'll see their sales by month. And it's... June was better than May, but they're still off their peak from March.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't think that's related to demand. I'm pretty sure that's related to a production issue.
If they had them on the floor, I agree that they would sell.
Yeah. And I've been calling around. I've got one dealer that I found. I can order one from them. It's going to be 7 months to get it. But there's not a dealer that has one in stock. And if they do have them in stock, they throw on their ADM. So these cars, that dip in sales has got to be related to production because they are selling every single one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And real quick, I did want to say a quick thank you to Kim for the super chat, and also to Frederick for the super chat. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
That was awfully generous of you guys.
So how's Rivian doing?
Better than I thought.
Yeah?
Yeah, I actually thought that they were going to have more problems than on getting these deliveries out, but they are not doing too horrible. If I can find my tab.
4,467 for Q2. And they still believe they'll hit 25,000 for the year. I sure hope they
Yeah.
can.
So, what was the number for? Was it last month or last quarter?
Last quarter, 4,467.
Okay. Well, if they stayed at that pace, that would be another 8,800.
Yeah.
If they stayed at that pace, so they just got to ramp it up. They've got how many done for the year so far?
12,000? What does it say?
12,000.
No,
No, that's not right.
that's not right. I don't know, 6,000? Something like, yeah. But, yeah, they don't need to get too much more ramped to get there.
Right. As long as
So-
they don't have supply chain issues.
Well, and that's the thing is on a manufacturer this small, when there's a supply chain crunch, you are not the buyer of choice to give priority.
True. Though, if the supplier has any confidence in Rivian, they would make them. They would put them up higher on their list, knowing that they've got the potential.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Did you hear that Rivian is reportedly considering laying off 5% of its workforce, 700 employees?
yeah. So, what kind of employees were these?
Not manufacturing ones, white collar ones. So to me, this is either no news or good news. They have a cash burn problem. I think lean sizing a bit would be a good idea at this time, and it's something they absolutely need to do. And considering how much they've grown without layoffs, 5% seems like a very reasonable amount to try and trim.
Yeah. Well, and you've got to take into account what are these guys doing? Are they vital? Are they vital to production? Are they vital to future designs? Well, future designs, I don't know what they have down the pipe. I know right now the R1T and the R1S is, their bread and butter. So maybe get rid of these guys and bring back people at a later time when you're in a better situation, because I don't think that they're bringing out any new vehicles. So I'm thinking designers, engineers. And it also gives you a chance to trim your fat.
Trim
and
the
get
fat.
Rid of get rid of those people that, slackers. Let's just say that.
So Jeff is saying they don't need sales for a while. Paul is saying Rivian is trying to get their cash burn under $1 billion. And what I was going to say is the marketing department, cut it to one person. You don't need marketing right now. You've got free marketing. You've got almost, Tesla level, at least on a per vehicle basis, and you've got more sales than you can work with. So trim marketing to 1 or 0 people. Right there, you're going to save $500,000 a year at least.
Yeah, I don't see much in the way of marketing for them. Do you?
Well, I don't pay attention.
Well, I don't see it.
I
see
live
an
the ad
advertising-
block life, baby.
Yeah,
But everybody has a marketing department.
Yeah, I don't see ads for them, but things on social media would be part of marketing. Some companies spend a lot on it. Some spend 0.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree. That's something that they probably don't need as badly as other things.
So the
Right now.
Bloomberglers are reporting that peak internal combustion engine is behind us. They did this study that has looked at all the other countries where EV adoption is ahead. There we go.
Go ahead.
It hits a certain point. There's an inflection point, and from there it just takes off. Now the downside to this, the difference this time, is that when these small markets hit the inflection point, there was enough production from big countries to fill that gap. And filling that gap in the US is going to take millions and millions of vehicles.
Lots, yeah. I do find it interesting that it's pretty much the ICE vehicles have flatlined on this.
Yeah.
Not dead. I don't mean that kind of flatline, but they're just staying pretty much even while the EV market is growing. I would like to see how. it's Bloomberg, so who knows what's going to, some of this crap could just be made up. But when are you going to start seeing the ICE vehicles go down?
So I think one answer to that is the R&D is being cut for internal combustion. They're going to be less and less compelling cars. They're not developing new engines, many of these companies. And like even the Corvette, the problem they had, I think it was the Corvette, where they put an engine in it and then said, we're not going to buy any more. And then the company went out of business. So now even warranty repairs are going to be difficult.
Well, they have to plan for things like that and have a large stockpile of parts for those things. The thing that's not in here, and I don't see this, there are countries that have said no more ICE sales after 2040. Some have done 2035. Haven't some done 2030?
It might be some of the Nordic countries that went 2030. Somebody in the comments can probably tell us.
Yeah. And is it possible that anybody went 2025?
I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar, but we will see. How's China's electric vehicle market doing?
As I said earlier, China is going to eat our lunch.
When he says he said it earlier, he said it to me.
Yeah. I said it to you earlier. They're going to eat our lunch. Besides having about 190 EV manufacturing companies, which won't all succeed, they are just going at it. And this gets into, Brian and I were talking about this earlier, a little bit of politics, but this is, China's modus of operation is to just take what they want on a lot of things. This time they're not taking what they want. They're going about this in a completely different way, where they are going to own the world economically. They're not going to be dependent on oil, and that's a major political thing where countries fall under the spell of another country. For example, with Russia right now, and okay, we boycott their oil, and now look where we're at. We get punished for boycotting Russian oil, or we're not boycotting. U.S. is not getting Russian oil, but other countries need it. Everyone boycotts it. Russia's under control. They've got the control on this because now it's costing everyone else so much money. China is not going to be a slave to any other country with their energy. They are going to get their electricity through green ways, through hydro, and they're not going to be dependent on oil from anybody, which gives them the ability to do what they want, whether it's good or bad. And they don't really have a history of good. They've got more of a history of bad. So I don't expect Christmas presents from them when they rule the world.
Really? Because all of the gifts Santa brings my children were made in China. Yes. Steep rise in demand for Chinese electric cars. The cleaner technology accounted for 23% of China's passenger car market. That includes hybrids, of course, and other clean, I assume hydrogen, I don't know. But that's while the market fell 12%, the clean tech boomed. And it's not slowing down.
Yeah. And China is a country where they can say, you're buying this? They can set it up any way they want, and you don't have your constitution to protect you about what you have to or cannot do. Yeah. So, very authoritarian.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of authoritarian, North Carolina looks to remove public EV chargers, probably to the trash. A bill currently in the works in the North Carolina legislature would allocate $50,000 to get rid of free public EV chargers unless free gas pumps are built alongside. So first of all, $50,000? What are you going to remove? One? It's a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's someone making a point, and a very bad point, and kind of making themselves look silly. Because the whole idea of having a free EV charger is to help people get an EV and just make it more accessible. These EV chargers that are free are level 2 chargers. You're just getting you're probably getting the equivalent on miles and gas of 20 while you go 10, maybe, because these things charge at 10 to 15 miles per hour at best. They're level 2 chargers.
Right.
You're going to go into the grocery store, spend an hour there at the most, and you're not getting that much. So if he thinks that we need a little gas pump that's going to give someone $1.50's worth of gas.
Yeah, a little water cup, one of those free water cups. Just hand it to him.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the point of why these things were put out there.
No.
So he's just embarrassing himself.
No, and it isn't, Jeff said North Carolina declares its ignorance. Nah, it's one guy. It's one guy, and he's grandstanding. He's playing to the a-hole base and hoping that it gets him, I don't know, some of that sweet, sweet petrol money, which it may.
He must think that his constituents, I hate that word, are idiots. Because only an idiot would be like, that's a good idea. So
is he wrong? I mean, he knows his voter base.
He could be wrong, but he could be right. But I don't think people are going to be like, thanks for standing up for something so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pro carcinogens in the water supply.
I drink them every day. So,
So do you know, Oregon did a study looking at, could you put up EV charging along the highway in places where you could put a solar farm big enough to support the EV charging? And they found that, in fact, if you look at this map, there's plenty of land where you could put plenty of chargers that would do it.
all right. So, excuse my ignorance on this. Putting a charger up on a farm is called agrivoltaic.
It's a word I have never seen before, and I feel like they just kind of jammed a couple of words together for fun. But yeah, the idea is just use some land that's adjacent. Think of how small a solar farm is compared to a farm. It would only be a sliver of a farm.
But whose farm is it?
Well, it's the state's farm now, or you could lease it from them.
Okay, so
think of the monetary value of the land in terms of crop yield. You could easily pay more than that, and it would still be a good deal for the state.
There's a lot more to this. A lot more. This is a good idea on the surface, in my opinion, but it has unintended consequences. First, you're looking at other people's land and saying, hey, how about we put a solar farm there? But hey, I'll make corn here. Don't you guys want my corn? No, we need free electricity. But isn't there supposed to be a food shortage? I could be making corn and grain.
So
No.
I can tell you a lot of this land that they're covering here, especially down the lower part of the map, is pretty arid. So it would be grain at best, and the food shortage is mostly a logistics and distribution issue more than actually running. We're not out of grain. We still throw it away every year or sell it offshore cheap.
Well, I dump my grain in the sewer nightly.
That explains all the plumbing problems you've had.
Yeah. But what is the land used for now?
Well, I don't know. I assume agriculture. But again, it wouldn't take... You would be able to pay them more than the land would currently yield, and then you're saving water, baby.
Are you?
Yes, because all of this is land that has to be irrigated from afar.
Okay. But what is it making though? It's like here in Arizona, we're very arid. You'd agree with that.
I would.
You lost 40 pounds last time you were here in the desert, water weight.
Mm-hmm.
But we grow crops constantly in the probably not thrown down the sewer.
Probably.
Probably, but you never know. So you can start running it. You have to look at all the consequences down the line. So
It's very strange.
What?
But that's what the study is for, is to determine if it's useful. And it's not like they would sweep in and do all of it at once. They'd go path of least resistance and see if it works.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that we need to have more green electricity, of course. But this study, I don't know if the study took into the effect of, hey, we're taking your land because we're going to do this. So,
Well,
and then
and again,
what
it
is the
doesn't have to be
consequences?
taking the land. It can be leasing the land like they do with so many of the wind farms, where the farmers just sign a lease.
Yeah.
You know,
and you know what? There may be farmers out there in the future goes, you know what? Instead of growing grain, which is a pain in my ass, I got to get up at 3:30 every morning and run that tractor and go through there. Maybe I'll just set up some solar panels and a mega pack.
So in
And I'll go-
Australia, I'm just kind of moving along here because we've got a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
stories.
Okay.
Electric vehicles pass the remote road test. Australia, bit empty. Don't know if you know, but like a third of the population lives in two cities, a third lives in the suburbs of those two cities, and a third of the entire country lives out from there. So yeah,
And it's a whole continent.
yes. If it's real, which is
It's a dwarf continent. It's like Pluto.
that's right. Yep, I've decided that's now true. We've already let Eurasia be two separate continents, even though they touch. Give them a third one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 93% of residents could do trips with even the lower range of electric vehicles currently available on the Australian market.
You know, I question all studies, so I'm going to question this one too. Do they actually drive these cars from one place to another, or did they go by their EPA issued range?
I'm sure it doesn't. I don't think it says, but I'm sure it goes by the stated range.
Yeah, because stated range is much like the stuff that you step in those fields, in the farmer's field
Yeah.
that bulls make. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I haven't seen stated range be accurate ever.
Taycan apparently does, but that's the only one I've heard of.
That's true.
But at any
That is
rate,
true.
they're still adding more chargers despite opposition from some of their leaders.
Yeah. All right, so
Yeah, and maintenance chargers always work, or EV chargers always work.
yeah, so speaking of adding EV chargers, this is not uncommon. I know this study was just in San Francisco. 72.5% of 657 public fast chargers in the San Francisco Bay Area in working order. Now, here's my little story. I got signed up on Electrify America last week. I brought the Polestar over, said, let me try this out. It's supposed to be free. I get 30 minutes. That's an important fact. You'll see here in a second. So I go to plug in. It says, nope, declined. And try the phone thing. Nope, declined. Tried the card thing again. Different card. Nope, declined. I know my cards are good. I'm like, okay, so this thing isn't working. So I move over to another stall. Oh, nope, that one has a reboot me message on it. There's 4 stalls. The first one was being used. Second one wouldn't take any of my payments. Third one wanted to be rebooted. Fourth one, declines me again. So I start getting on the phone with Electrify America. And as I'm doing that, it finally approves me on my credit card. Okay, great. I'm starting, but I'm not supposed to be paying for this because it's supposed to be free with buying the Polestar. So I've got 2 out of the 4 not working. So I got a lady on the phone. She's helping me, showing me how to actually get connected the right way so I can get it for free. And I say to her, I'm like, this is a 150 kilowatt charger. She's like, yes, it is. I'm looking at it. Yes. Like, I'm getting 50 kilowatts. Is there something wrong with my car, or is there something wrong with the charger? Let me take a look. Sometimes they dumb them down when they need to be upgraded. I'm like, well, I can't get my car charged with 50 kilowatts in 30 minutes. So my free 30 minutes is not going to get my car charged. That's kind of not what I was looking for.
Yeah, $3 is what you saved.
Yeah. So I'm like, so that really doesn't work for me. So another guy pulls up he hits the first charger that I couldn't get it to work. He's in an Ioniq 5. I start talking to him. He tells me that he's getting 47 kilowatts now that he's plugged in. Lady on the phone tells me, no, they didn't dumb these down. These are all in full working order, so I will file a report that that one is not working. So I don't know what the first charger was getting. So point is, one academic found only 72.5% of 657 public fast chargers in San Fran in working order. Well, it's working order because they were working for me, but not the way I expected. So 1 out of those 4 was completely down, which goes with the 72.5%. 3 out of 4 were not giving the desired charging speed, or a third. They were giving a third of the charging speed. So technically, they all could have been down.
So Out of Spec Motoring has done a bunch of road trips where this exact experience happens, what you just described. Zach and Jesse had the same thing on Now You Know with their recent Rivian road trip. This is something that needs to get sorted out because it is absolutely an obstacle to adoption. If the story you tell on Monday when you come back from your camping trip is how miserable the charging experience was, it dampens the entire market for EVs.
It absolutely does. So the guy in the Ioniq, he tells me that he comes here every couple of days because his wife drives the car. He just comes here to charge it. I'm like, do you not have a charging station? Well, I got the free charging from Electrify America, so I didn't put a charger in my house. I'm like, dude, you got to do that. You're spending 30 minutes of your life every couple of days filling this thing up because it's free. And that's certainly not worth it. And it's not even going at the speed that it's supposed to.
Right.
You should not have to sit there for 45 minutes to get your car up to a mere 220 miles because you're going 90% of the 250 range.
So dumb. So dumb. So how long do batteries even last?
Forever. It lasts forever to me because I don't keep cars anywhere near either one of those two numbers. An electric vehicle's battery must be warranted for 8 years or 100,000 miles. I've never had a car for 8 years, and I've never driven a car 100,000 miles. So I'm covered for life. So that is forever for me.
Yeah. And yeah, most EVs aren't the Nissan Leaf. The Nissan Leaf, as I'm sure Jeff would confirm, had battery degradation problems because it was did not have active cooling, which will absolutely shorten the life of the battery.
Yes. And this article does continue on to just really kick the Nissan Leaf in the theoretical balls that it doesn't have. And if you took the Leaf out of this equation, there would be much for people to say about battery degradation. I mean, it happens here and there. Sometimes there's a bad battery. But yeah, I guess there's some sort of mandate from the government, which I didn't know about, but we get great warranties. So yeah.
Is it a mandate, or is it just this author's opinion that they must have 8 years and 100,000 miles?
No, I somehow got out of this that this was some sort of... I mean, it says an electric vehicle's battery must be warranted for 8 years or 100,000 miles. Where was it in here? There was something in here.
I don't know if that's a requirement, but I would certainly agree. I think that would... Yeah, it says, Jeff is saying it's the author's opinion.
Wait. As it turns out, the EV battery pack is subject to a more stringent warranty than the rest of the car. Federal law requires automakers to guarantee packs for 8 years or 100,000 miles at a minimum.
Oh.
And with the exception of the Nissan, every EV on sale today features liquid cooling battery as part of the battery management system. So I don't know what law that is. I've never heard of it.
All right. Great. But federal law requires it. Okay. Fantastic.
Sounds good.
Well, guys, if you're on the fence, there you go. Jump. Did you know that Elon has said that Model Y's structural battery pack is far from optimized?
He said that, and there was an article on Inside EVs about that, which is not opening up for me right now. Oh, there we go. All right. I can join the conversation now. So there's been quite a few videos from the Monroe people about this battery pack that they're tearing out of a made in Texas Model Y. And if you guys haven't had a chance to look at it, there's some. It's interesting if you like that kind of thing. I find it interesting, and it's incredible what has been done at Tesla to completely revolutionize how cars are built.
Yeah.
So it's quite something.
Yeah. Yeah. We were having a discussion before the show started about how the inside of the pack, it looks like it's basically filled with like expanding foam, which gives it a lot of structural rigidity, but also makes it about 0% serviceable on the inside. And Bear was saying, well, but if a module goes bad, you can't replace it. And I said, if a module goes bad outside of warranty, it you can't replace the module. You have to replace the whole pack. The imbalance would fry the remaining. It'd just ruin it, as we've seen with some of the rebuilders out there. And if it's in warranty, it's not your problem. And if Tesla believes that the cost of replacing the odd pack because of a bad module is less than the savings gained from having a structural battery pack, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But I'm going to throw one more caveat into
I
that.
want to hear it.
That's not very environmentally friendly to throw away a large pack like that.
Oh, they recycle them. Redwood
Yeah, they're
materials,
gonna-
baby.
Yeah.
These aren't
You're gonna
going in
have
the
to
trash.
But do you take out the batteries, the individual batteries, and just go, these are still good?
No, you
So-
chuck them in the grinder.
No, I think you put them in your vapor, and then you...
And then you have a 7-year battery.
Yeah. With 80,000 puffs. 800,000 puffs. Or 100,000 puffs.
It'd be a lot. It'd be a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Uh-huh. Does battery efficiency even matter?
Not to the Hummer.
9,000-pound electric Hummer shows we can't ignore efficiency of EVs. I mean, do we really even need to go into this? The headline kind of covers it. It takes so much juice to get you a mile that it's almost better to burn gasoline in an efficient car because it's so huge and heavy.
It is, as we're going to see later on our scale of things, that's a fact. It does. Me, personally, I don't care. If somebody wants to buy this, somebody
Right.
wants to drive it, let them go ahead and do it. This is also one of those things. Look on the positive sides. People see a Hummer going down the road. People used to hate Hummers because of how bad they were for efficiency, and people would go in and scratch them up at the dealership, trying to ruin them. So you've got something like this. It's a step in the right direction. It's showing people what they can be. And as time goes on, these vehicles can be made more efficient. They can be made lighter. We're going to have better batteries in the future. We could have batteries that are made out of popcorn and they're going to be super light. Who knows?
And the person who's driving this Hummer is not going to be driving a Chevy Malibu.
No, he's not. Not at all. And yes, I do have one on order, so I am one of those douchebags.
Oh,
So-
a Chevy Malibu douchebag?
No, but I've
Oh.
had one.
Oh.
A Hummer douchebag.
It's a neat car. It's neat. It's not for me, but I get it.
If I got one of those, I would drive down the road with jugs of oil and just pour them down on the street as I'm driving around.
Just to balance it out. How does this?
I would balance it out.
Do we know how this compares to other EVs?
We do, and if we're going to assume that this article is correct in a lot of its assumptions and not research, then we are going to place the Hummer on the Bloomberg scale of green cars right at the bottom of the list at a 27.4. Out of all the EVs that they have on their list, the Hummer is at the bottom. And so be it. It gets more range than probably 90% of the cars on here. It's not the most expensive car. It's probably not the fastest either, but I think it is. It's close to that.
So this green rating takes battery, range and curb weight, and comes up with this number. And if you look, it's only 10% behind the Rivian, and only 20% behind the F-150.
That is true. To me, I don't really like their way of measuring. I don't think it's that relevant. People don't look at gas cars the same like this and go, well, what's my car weigh versus how far I can go? It's not what's important. People aren't looking at this stat or this type of information. Forget that's called a green rating. People aren't going to look at it and go, well, I need to know how much the battery size is and the range and the curb weight and put in some sort of equation. They want to know how fast it goes. They want to know what the range is. They want to know how fast it can charge. Those are the things that matter to consumers. And that's what's going to sell the cars, not some green rating that they put up on here. And then they also threw in some other stats which are not only not relevant, but not accurate. Like the Model S being at $91,590 with a range of 375. The range on a Model S long range right now is 405. The current cost on this vehicle is it 100,000 or is it 105? Somebody can maybe point that out. So this article came out 4 days ago.
Yeah. So I would argue that the green rating is important, because if you look at the Lucid Air, which has a remarkable range of 520, it's not like they just put in 3 battery packs and it now weighs as much as a Hummer. They got efficiency.
Yes,
apparently.
They did. Also, this car is no longer available to the public. The Dream Edition was a limited edition, 520. So is that car even relevant to this list?
Well, I got
the
one.
Lucid. Hey, everybody's got one.
Do you guys have one?
This can go fast. Very fast.
And Jeff is saying efficiency matters, and I agree. Yeah, the Bloomberglers are generally terrible. Wasn't it them who recently ambushed Elon in an interview and said, well, they're saying such and such, how do you respond? And he goes, you. Isn't that you that said that? Oh, yeah, that was us. Come on, guys. Their business is not giving you good advice. Their business is selling you any advice.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying efficiency is not important. I just don't know if that's the best way to go about it.
Well, and the real problem is, if we want to know efficiency, we got to get these numbers accurate first.
Yeah. Because we know that the prices aren't accurate. So the cars aren't even available. So in charging speed, how does that factor into the green rating? It doesn't.
It doesn't.
And neither does the price of the car. The range obviously matters, but the range is also not accurate on any one of these. Well, I shouldn't say on any one of these cars. We know the Porsches are pretty accurate as far as their range goes. But my Model 3 doesn't get anywhere close to 315, which it is I'm sorry, the long range, it's a 2018, so not even relative or related. But my Model Y was rated at 326 when I bought it. Never got that. Not once. I need to find a hill that's 326 miles long, and I'll get that. Might even get a little bit more. But this is just stated range that has been done under assumed conditions that don't happen in the real world.
You know what I don't see on this list? Fisker.
What's that? Oh, wow, that's your way of saying let's move on.
We still have a bunch of headlines in 20 minutes to get it done.
All right.
We may have to go over today. We shall see.
I wanted to tear that one apart, but let's tear this one apart. From my understanding, Fisker's asking for another, it's like they had an initial deposit, and then the people who had those deposits down, Fisker came back and said, "Oh, you want to keep your reservation? Buck up, Buttercup." Is that what really happened?
Sort of. It's actually worse. The $250 was a reservation fee.
So it doesn't even count.
Doesn't even count. And now they're saying, okay, so good news, reservation fee payers, $5,000, and we'll actually put you on the actual list. Imagine if you slip the bouncer $50 to get in, and he's like, awesome, I'll put your name on the list, go to the back of the line. Oh, son of a... Come on, man.
And then he comes up to you and goes, "Give me 500 and I'll actually get you on the line."
Well, you were only on the pre-line.
The pre-line.
Yeah, I'll let you go stand in the other line, the shorter one.
Yeah. Wow.
And yeah, Fisker, I have no confidence in.
This is one of the cars that I have not considered to put an order in for.
I don't care for the look of it. I don't care for Henrik Fisker's past business experience.
I'm okay with the look. I'm not okay with not necessarily this one that they have here, but I've seen different pictures. I'm just not okay with the guy.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy with the battery that was this big, right? And said that
Was he?
Wasn't he that guy?
I don't remember that. But that's a very common thing in EV world, is for a small company to say, we have the breakthrough, money please, and then of course they don't.
Yeah.
But he's the one who consulted with Tesla, helped them design the Model S, and then jumped and stole the design. Because if you look at the original Fisker Karma, it looks an awful lot like a sexier Model S. And
well, they could make the S a little sexier. That would be nice.
They could. And they sued them over it and lost, so yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But Fisker's still not the turd of the week, are they?
No, who is? Would it be BMW?
Yeah. I know the BM and BMW has to stand for bowel movement because they took a big crap on this one. So they're going to charge people subscriptions basically to run the stuff in their car.
Yes. $80 annual fee to use Apple CarPlay. Yeah, the adaptive high beams cost $10 a month. That's a safety feature. Maybe just include it. What are you gonna? Got an airbag fee? I'd like to see that.
You didn't pay for your brakes. Sorry.
Well, the crazy thing is, they still won't let you use the blinker, apparently.
Sorry about.
Yeah, well, you know the difference between a porcupine and a BMW? On a porcupine, the pricks are on the outside. Oh. I've had a BMW. I'm allowed to say that.
Are you? You know what? I've never owned a BMW.
It was fine. It was a lot less inspiring than I expected. And it was nothing but trouble. I went through 3 water pumps.
Yeah, we don't use water pumps here in Arizona. You should move out here, get yourself a BMW.
That's great. That's great.
Our cars are always overheating, whether we have a water pump or not. So we don't even worry about them. But things that you should worry about is Ford and their recalls.
Yeah. But it's only 100,000 vehicles at risk of fire.
What's great is some of those vehicles I've never heard of.
The 2022 Corsair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to look that one up.
Yeah. So, that was a European car? Is that right?
So I only found it on Ford's fleet page for their for fleet sales. It just looks like a European version of an American SUV, of a Lincoln, really. And who knows? But yeah, a little bit of problems. And the thing is, again, the fire risk is not significant or substantial or common, and it's these things happen. But if this was Tesla, end of the world, baby.
Oh yeah,
end of the world.
You lost volume there.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying.
By the way, someone should send M Moon a message letting her or your stock photos are showing effusions. not the cars that were recalled.
It's also a really great creep shot there.
Oh yeah, it's like peeking through the hole.
Get a shorter tripod.
Yeah.
But, there's surely some good news about Ford.
Yeah, here's some good news. Looks like there's going to be a class action lawsuit against Ford for the Mach-E for their recall, which, from my understanding, Ford does have a fix for, and that they're going to be fixed in August or September. So, but they do not have a fix, and a couple of people are trying to jump on the Better Call Saul lawsuit and see if they can get a class action thing going and get some money out of Ford for this, which will turn out to be $1.67 for everyone who's not listed as the main plaintiff.
Right.
But they're stating here that Ford knew about it. I don't know if they knew about it. Maybe they did. But they're saying that, they put everybody at risk, and risk of death. Of course, they went straight to death.
Yeah.
So,
and I would agree with you. This does feel like an ambulance chaser lawsuit. But a lot of people look at any company and say, well, because there's accusations, where there's smoke, there's fire. And that's not always true. Because anyone can sue anyone for any reason. Anyone can file enough complaints to get an investigation launched. I don't think this is going anywhere.
No, I hope not, because it's people, man. It's people. What's wrong with people? Just go about your life.
So is there any actual good news about Ford?
Yeah, we can have some actual good news. So it looks like Ford is registering a trademark for the Maverick and the Ranger with the name Thunder. And that's going to be an electric version of both, fully electric version of both of those vehicles. So that's a little insight of what the future is going to be looking like. And hopefully no one sues them for using the name Thunder.
I don't... Boy.
Thor might.
Don't want to incur his wrath. I think these are going to be great. The smaller form factor is what a lot of people want and need. These very short beds, I don't know how useful they are. I mean, if you're buying a barbecue, they look great. If you're buying a couch, they might be a little problematic. But a lot of people don't use trucks for everyday cargo hauling. And if you do, get a different truck.
Yeah, that's true. There's definitely a market need for it. People do want that little open space for pickup, but they don't want something that has an 8-foot bed and can haul 4,000 pounds. They don't need that. So these things are going to get great numbers, I think, as far as the price on that Maverick hybrid is $35,000, brand new. That's a really good price. Try and find a hybrid that's in that range right now, and you really can't. So,
well, and the other benefit is the smaller the truck, the fewer batteries you need, the more of them you can build. There was talk in my chat a bit ago when Jeff was saying about the Hummer. It would have been better if they built 2 smaller, more efficient EVs instead of one with a giant Hummer battery. Well, that's what the Maverick and what the Thunders will bring.
Thunder only happens when it's raining, right?
And as we know, EVs can't be driven in the rain.
That's a fact.
It is a fact.
Fact check true. I washed my one of my Teslas today and it blew up. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I gotta go get another one because every time I keep forgetting, spraying it down, soaping it up. I got the music going on. I'm doing it in slow motion. Poof! It blows up because it got wet.
Yeah. David Huber also pointed out, or just rent a big truck for the few times you actually need it. And yeah, if you only need it for a couple hours, a lot of times Home Depot has trucks available by the hour. And an even better deal I found is U-Haul has pickups. We rented one of those to do a tear off the roof at the old house.
Yeah, you're leaving me no choice but to say, you can get a pickup truck on Turo.
Oh, do they have cars on Turo?
Yes, they do.
Do they have electric cars?
Oh yes, they sure do. They sure do, and they have them in different colors. This one happens to be in gray.
Oh,
This is
like its owner?
yeah, just the beard. Uh, so this is the new addition to the fleet. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 came in on Sunday morning, and I'm just going to give you a couple quick first impressions. I felt like the car was built really well. The door gaps are very nice. There are some quirky things about it that I don't like and I haven't figured out. For example, in this picture, you can see the door handles are sticking out. That is because the car is unlocked. So if you leave it unlocked, your handles are constantly sticking out. A little weird.
That
That's
makes it
nothing.
really easy for car prowlers.
Yeah, because if you walk away from your car and you forget to lock it, it basically is screaming, "I'm unlocked." So I haven't gone through all the settings, and that's another one of my peeves about this is that there's 500 settings, and there's a lot of things to go through. I had to look some stuff up because I couldn't do one pedal driving, and here's like probably one of the biggest peeves, the biggest wrong that they did on this car is you can do one pedal driving, but you have to turn it on every single time you put the car in drive. And that is different than turning the car on. So if you're in drive and you back up, you've taken one pedal driving off. So you have
That's
to
so
turn,
dumb.
you have to turn it back on. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, maybe there's some default settings you need to go into because that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound
It,
right.
you know what it sounds? It sounds stupid. And
Well, and
speaking of,
Hyundai generally doesn't do stupid things.
they they don't. Not since like the 1990s. I did buy this car out of California and I had it shipped out so that I did not pay an additional dealer markup. But the guys in California, and I hate to rag on California because I love the state so much, but Hyundai does not supply a built-in license plate bracket for the front.
Oh,
They give you one, but there's no attachment points.
right.
So
You have
you
to
actually
drill
have
holes.
you have to drill holes. So these guys in California at this dealership drilled 7 holes through my front bumper to get the front license plate bracket on. So if you look closely on this picture on the left-hand side, you will see 7 holes. And they are there permanently forever. I would need a new front bumper. And I put the plate back on. I'm buying a custom plate that's going to say no gas on it.
So we've
And
got
that's
some helpful information. I don't know if you know this, Bear, but this is the reason that you're here is to get help from my viewers. Jeff Songster says the paddles adjust the regen.
yeah, they do. That's where you turn it on from. You have
Oh, well then,
yeah.
you're welcome.
Well, okay. So the paddles are the what you use to turn it on. You click them and it goes from 3 different levels, 1, 2, 3, and then I pedal, which is what they are calling their one pedal. So you have to click it to get to that, and then when you put the car in park, you have to do it again. It doesn't hold the setting.
So yeah, competent dealers adding value. Yeah, those efficiency holes are really streamline the airflow.
Oh, I was so pissed when I pulled that thing off. I'm like, why am I pulling out so many screws? They literally the plate itself was screwed to the bumper because that was 2 or 4 of the holes. They literally must have used the wrong screws and went through. So
Good Lord.
yeah.
Any other news in the last 5 minutes here?
Is JJ still here?
Maybe.
Otherwise, we'll
He'll
just
tell us
skip
if
it.
he is.
Yeah. JJ already knows this, but because he said so yesterday in the live stream for Nikola. But Nikola is going to have their earnings report on August 4th. That is a Thursday, bright and early at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. So we will probably be around for that, and we will probably live stream that.
Neat. Any predictions?
I predicted 37 delivered trucks.
Okay.
That was my prediction on the live stream yesterday. That's what I'm sticking with.
Great.
And I'm trying to be conservative on that. There was guesses of 100, which they're not going to be right because I am.
So the last couple things before we call it a day, saw this fun one. Anti-speeding tech is now mandatory for new car models in the EU.
Do you know of any cars that have anything like this?
No. So what this is,
Yes.
this doesn't restrict your speed. It informs your speed. You're still free to speed, but the car has to tell you, buddy, this is a 35 or a 50 or whatever, and you're going too fast.
So there are cars that have this already,
Really?
and I don't know if this is gonna if it just tells you if you're over the speed limit, but you can get speed limit warnings from Teslas. You can set a cap on your speed limit, and all it has to do is give you a warning. It doesn't have to stop you. Because going through this article, it says it's not a mandatory 55 is a limit. That's all you're going. It literally will just a warning saying bad, bad. The Polestar, when you approach the speed limit, and this is different from Tesla's, and I find it very annoying, by the way. It was one of my peeves on the Polestar. If you're in a 35 and you're going 40, there is a flashing speed limit sign on your dash. 35, 35, 35, 30, and it stays on as long as you're over the speed limit, which means it's always on. It's always blinking.
Hard
And
pass.
Yeah. So that's what we have to look forward to. So the Polestar has something like this. Tesla has something like this. I don't know if it qualifies because it doesn't adjust per the speed limit. So I don't.
JJ on your side says, "Rip Nicola News." We can't. I mean, if you want me to make up news, I can. But if there's news, by all means, share it with us, and we'll share it out from there. But we can't. There will be more news next week, I am sure, after the shareholder meeting or the investor call or whatever it is. And the last one.
JJ,
Yeah, go
JJ
ahead.
just needs to remember that Nikola keeps everything
Very tight.
tightly to their chest right now.
Yeah.
And it's probably all because of Mr. Milty. So
No, it's because of me.
Well, you are a spy.
It did not help. Switzerland moves ahead with underground autonomous cargo delivery. This sounds familiar.
I lost that one.
You lost it. It's the IEEE Spectrum. You lost it? Well.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's basically...
Oh, I found it.
Yeah, it's basic. See, what happens is when we get way too many stories, his tabs get harder to find. So the idea is, this is a little tunnel with autonomous vehicles on rubber wheels, moving at a slow and steady 30 kilometers per hour, delivering cargo that doesn't clog up the road or rail or other surface systems. Sound familiar?
It does sound like something that's kind of is boring.
Kind of boring. And what's fun is this project is getting mostly praise from the jackals, while the boring tunnel is still getting ridiculed. So that goes back to my theory that it's not about the technology, it's about their seething, insatiable hatred for the CEO.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to get over that.
Yeah. Or not. I mean, it's not like it's moving forward either way, so, Yeah.
Well,
Jeff,
I still think they have to get over it.
Yeah.
So.
Jeff, thank you for the super chat. Says, "Party on, revelers. Boring Company making Swiss cheese out of Switzerland." Well, this is a different project. This isn't the Boring Company. This is just using a similar principle. By the way, these overhead rails are for much smaller, much lighter express packages. And there's further discussion that these
move
cars
quicker?
could be refrigerated. Yes?
The top ones move quicker?
Yeah. Those are high-speed rails.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's a good use of the space.
Yeah. So the whole, it's not a bad concept, and if somebody else wants to pay to see if it works, let them.
Yeah. It is expensive, though.
Well, that's because they're using a large bore tunnel, and large bore tunnels are expensive.
That I think about that a lot.
You lose sleep, I'm sure.
large bore tunnels are going to be my nemesis.
Yeah, that's right. Stevie Z says, Mary will lead building tunnels and EVs. Yeah. We haven't talked about Mary, Bear.
Wow, we did not do a single comment about Mary.
Even with all that GM we did. Crazy.
Right.
Losing my edge. Yeah, this is a good use of boring company type borers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So we have kind of gone over. So before we automatically get cut off by the internet police, because we're only scheduled for an hour, I do want to say thank you to my Patreons, and I want to thank everyone that showed up on my side. I'm not thanking the people that showed up on Brian's side, because, well, hell, you're on Brian's side, which, it's not right. It's not right.
No, one of the worst channels, worst hosts.
Yeah, and he's an albino.
Yeah, super pale. Super pale. Yeah. And of course, thanks to my patrons as well. All kinds of good stuff going on here. I do have a couple updates I need to make on there. That's interesting.
When's your next show, Brian?
My next live show is, that'll be Friday. And I may have a video before then I'm working on from an FSD drive that I did with Jeff a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So that'll be quite fun. And yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. All right, and I've got a live stream of the Lucid Factory tomorrow. So you guys come join me there, and we'll be talking about the Lucid Factory and where they're at on their construction and how many cars we see and don't see. And maybe we'll make fun of Brian because he won't be there.
That early?
Because he sleeps during the day.
Hard pass. Okay, guys. Well, thanks, and thank you, Bear, for your time. And I'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, everyone, for showing up.